Hey guys, today I'm solving puzzles as many as I can until I get 3 wrong. This is what's called Puzzle Rush on chess.com. And I'm going to start by looking for checks or checkmates. And I do see one of those, check and checkmate. And basically, I always start with the checks and checkmates. And then if that doesn't work, I move on to pieces that I can capture, going down in order from queen, rook, and then the knights and the bishops. Okay, but in this case, I do see the checkmate. And again, I'm looking for checks and checkmate. Looks like this is going to lead to a checkmate, so we'll take that. Checks and checkmate, always start there. And most of the first ones are going to be pretty easy if you just follow that rule. Checks and checkmate. The rook and the knight can be a nice combo here. So there's checkmate. Checks and checkmate. And again, I see it. Don't really have to look at anything else. It's if you see a checkmate, right? You can just stop calculating everything else. So again, checks and checkmate. Look at the bishop. Look at the queen. They're on f7. Checks and checkmate. We have a nice battery here. Looks pretty straightforward. Checks and checkmate. Okay. Up there it is on h7. All right. Checks and checkmate. There's a check. That looks good. Is that the best thing? I could also just take the bishop. Oh, but if I follow that check one more move, I do see the checkmate there on queen e6. Okay. So there's checkmate. Checks and checkmate. Let's see. There's a check here with the bishop. That one looks really good. Actually, the follow-up checkmate there. He could block. I would probably just take both of those things. So here we go. Bishop c5. Take it. Checkmate. There we go. All right, again, checks and checkmate. Looks like it's right here. The knight and the queen. Nothing's defending that square. Checks and checkmate. Okay, so I can't immediately go for the back rank, but I can throw in this move, force the king over, and then go for the back rank checkmate. By the way, I recommend you pause and try to solve these yourself. I'll slow down just a little bit. That's a great way to learn. So right now, pause the video, try to find it. Once you think you have it, resume, and then I'll talk about what I think the solution is. All right, we have the queen lined up on the king. So again, I'm looking for checkmates. Check, the king moves over, and I want to be able to follow that up by moving my queen there. So that's why I'm choosing knight to d3 as opposed to moving the knight anywhere else. Notice I need the queen to go there. All right. Again, looking for those checks. Is this going to lead to a back rank checkmate? He could block. I'll just take him. Looks like it is. 1 and 2. Okay, again, checks and checkmate. There is a check. It's not going to lead to checkmate this time. But if you go to number 2 when you're solving these puzzles, after you look at the checks, you look for pieces that you can capture. Well, these guys not really going to be able to get captured. No. But this one is what's called a hanging piece. It's undefended. And so you pair that with the knowledge of looking for checks. It comes relatively straightforward. You can fork and grab the piece. Okay, again, checks and checkmate. Interesting. I do see a check, but it's not going to be checkmate, at least not right away. The king's going to go there. Okay, let's move on. Can I take any of these pieces? No, actually, black's about to take me. All right, so let's think through this a little bit further. And I do see an idea here. This is a bit advanced for a 1,000 rated puzzle, but check. King's going to move. I can actually bring both rooks down. And because my pawn is really helping me out here, looks like I might be able to get a checkmate. And also, I do just save both of my rooks. Looks pretty good. So I think that's probably the solution. Although this is a relatively tricky position, but we're going to bring the other rook down. Yes. So black tries to stop the checkmate by giving up the bishop. We'll just take that. And there we go. Okay. Checks and checkmate. Only checks that I see are these two, which don't look great immediately, but let's follow that out and think through which pieces can I potentially capture. This guy is undefended. Okay. And look at what I'm noticing here. Look at how all of these pieces fit together. So we we trade the bishop for the knight, then we go in for the fork, and we're able to win that piece for free. So again, after you look at the checks and checkmates, you look for pieces that you might be able to capture. And usually those two things, you're going to be able to solve most puzzles. Sometimes step 3 would be like, look for clever, tricky ways to achieve one of the first two things. Okay. So again, checks and captures. Here is a check. Sorry, checks and checkmates. Also, captures is good. Followed by this. Looks like a checkmate. I don't see how white's going to get out of that. This is a pattern that I've seen before. The rook and the bishop. Very good one to remember. When the bishop is slicing across the king, if you can ever get a rook over there, a lot of times it's going to be checkmate. Now, we did need the help from the pawn, but it works out nicely for us. Okay, an endgame puzzle. So usually in the endgame puzzles, I like to think about passed pawns. Okay, how do I create a pawn that can run down and become a queen as quickly as possible? The other side of that is maybe I want to defend against my opponent doing the same thing. Now, in this case, I'm too late. I can't defend this. So it seems like the only option that I have is going to be to go on the offensive here and attack these pawns. So I'm going to play this move. And again, don't really have much of a choice here. I can't do anything about that. Let's go ahead, grab this, and again, grab the pawn. Okay, now I do have a choice. Which pawn do I want to move? And this one is actually kind of tricky. Again, tough puzzle for an 1100 rated puzzle. But if you count the moves, one, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're very, very close. So the question is, would I rather have my queen here or here? And I hope you guys can see that I want it to be here so that I can take white's queen since I am going to be moving first. So we need to move this pawn. They're going to make me move it all the way, it looks like. Okay, all right. And I was going to push it, obviously, and then capture white's queen. Okay. Checks and checkmates. Wow. So this is an interesting position. We're losing here with don't have the queen, but we have probably a checkmate. So let's think through this carefully. And actually, that check looks like it's going to do it. The knight's going to be here. The rook's here. And my bishop can't be captured. So there we go. All right. Again, check and checkmate almost, but the knight is controlling that. And so that's actually relatively straightforward to think through. If I want to move here and checkmate, but the knight is causing me a problem, I should probably remove the knight. Happen to have a rook ready to do that. Let's go ahead and capture that. All right. Again, we see this idea of trying to get the queen in front of the king to deliver the checkmate, but I don't have anything defending my queen. Well, how can I solve that problem? It looks like pushing my pawn is going to be exactly what I need. Of course, I'm going to scan just real quick. Maybe I can take the queen for free, something else for free, but I don't see that. So this looks like a great option. And he's going to give up his queen to prolong the checkmate. Okay. All right, another endgame one here. Wow, interesting position. So, of course, at the end of the game, pay attention to those passed pawns. Seems like that's the idea. Probably going to try to make this rook move so that I can push this and get a queen. Of course, I'm going to lose my pawn. But now I'm seeing a follow-up fork, which looks pretty good, although I will say I'm a little bit concerned about this guy right here. So, for example, if I go here, he takes me. I go check. He takes me. I take him. Pushes. I take. He pushes. Aha. And I'm able to go here and stop it just in the nick of time. All right. So, again, these are some tricky puzzles for the 12, 1300 rated level, I would say. But this looks to be the correct move. We will go for the fork here. Take that. Capture this, and then, like I calculated, just in time to stop the queen. Okay. Looking at the checks. Okay, here, and very interesting puzzle. I would like to go for this back rank checkmate. The problem is white's going to take me, and I'm in trouble. But what I can do is actually throw in this trade first, basically eliminating these two rooks from the position. And now that back rank mate idea is going to work out perfectly for me. Okay. Another endgame one here, although we do have a couple of pieces. And I am going to, always start with the checks. And wow, look at that. This actually, looking carefully here, looks like checkmate. Look at that. All the pawns and the bishops doing a great job of controlling the king there. Okay, another endgame one. And whenever you have a problem like this that you can't solve, you have to look for alternative solutions or other ways to win the game. I'm not going to win the game by catching this pawn with my king. I just can't do it. But what do I need to do instead? Go on the offensive. He's got me blockaded, but it looks like I can actually go for a checkmate here with my pawn, which is really nice. So we're going to go here and checkmate. Very cool. All right. Again, let's check the checks first of all. Here's one. And wow, is that just the answer? That's just checkmate, I believe. See, this is like a 1500 rated puzzle, and it seems to be so much easier than some of those other ones. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to take it. All right. Okay, again, I'm looking for the checks here, and this looks like some sort of back rank mate idea. So let's just calculate this out a little bit. If we take here check, he's going to have to take me. I could follow up with another check, which would force the rook to go back, and then we couldn't move this one because it's pinned, but we don't have to actually. We can just move this one, and that would be checkmate. Remember, even though my rook is pinned here, this is a thing that a lot of beginners struggle with. Even though my rook is pinned, it can still control squares and prevent my opponent's king from moving there, right? Just because a piece is pinned doesn't mean it stops functioning, totally. You just can't move it. So keep that in mind. That looks like the solution. Take here, go down with check. I didn't see that actually, but it's, easy enough to just capture it. And then we take here. This is what I was saying. Even though it's pinned, it's still going to defend my rook here and allow me to checkmate the king. Okay. Again, let's start with the checks. This one doesn't seem to make any sense. This one seems like it could be a good idea. Let's see what the follow-up might be. If the king goes here, there we see that same idea of the bishop slicing across with the rook coming over. So like I said, remember that one. And we also have to figure out, what if the king moves here? Looks like the rook could go here. We lose a pawn, and then we actually go back with the bishop. Again, beautiful checkmate, the rook and the bishop. Yeah, very nice there. So remembering these rook and bishop patterns is a good thing. These come up quite a bit. So here we go. And then the checkmate. All right, great. Okay, let's look at the checks. First of all, that doesn't make any sense. That actually looks pretty good because it's a fork here on these pieces. The only question that I might have here is, do I go for the check first or do I go for the trade and then the check? And I think actually we do need to trade first. And this is a little bit tricky here. If we play queen a4 check immediately, black might play b5. And the problem with b5 is that I'm not able to take the bishop. So I would have to take the pawn, which is still good. I get a pawn, but I'd rather get a free piece. And the way that I can make sure that that happens is by trading first. And now when I go queen a4 check, b5 doesn't do anything. I can simply still take either way, really, and I'm going to get that knight for sure. So that's important. Piece is always better than a pawn. All right. Okay, I don't know why that's part of the puzzle, but we will take it. All right, so again, I'm still going to keep starting with the checks and checkmates and also scanning for pieces that I can capture, but we're starting to get to that range where I'm going to have to probably think a little bit deeper. And basically what that looks like is you start with one or two moves that look like they might make sense, and then you kind of follow that a few more moves and see if anything jumps out at you as far as checkmates further down the line or capturing pieces, again, further down the line. Okay, a lot of these are going to be longer than just one or two moves. All right, so here, let's start with this check because I've got the king cut off here, got the king cut off here. We'd have to move over this way and then probably could just do like a ladder checkmate type of a deal. So yeah, this one, again, same idea. I'm looking for check or checkmates. I just had to look a few moves deeper. In this case, two moves, right? This is pretty easy. All right. All right, again, let's check the checks here. Weird position. Let me just orient myself here. So I'm black, okay, and the white's pawns are obviously moving this way. I'm moving this way. Okay, that was a bit weird. So interesting. He's trying to get a queen. Again, it looks like one of those situations where really going to have a hard time stopping that because the rook is behind it, supported by the knight. So can I think of an offensive plan instead? And I do think, there we go again. We've seen this idea, what, third time now in this puzzle run here? The bishop is slicing across the king, and the rook can come over to deliver the checkmate. But the only thing I'm going to verify is, can white stop that? There's no checks to my king that I would be concerned about. I would just take that. The knight can't put me in check. The rook can't block, so it's got to be the move. So here we go. And there, yeah, that was it. Okay. All right, again, look for the checks. Well, I see some obvious ones here. Do we have any other checks? We could take the queen. Okay. What about pieces that can be taken? Ooh, not these guys. This is very dangerous here. Bishop, maybe we could take the bishop. That's undefended. All right, so I've kind of scanned everything. And, oh, one of my kids just screaming. A little bit distracting. All right, let's go. I think I see the solution here. Basically, I'm this one's more advanced. Yeah, I'm looking at the checks and I'm thinking, what is black gonna have to do? Oh, probably block with the queen or move here. And what I want to do as a follow up is pin the queen to the king. So I've seen kings and queens, when they're lined up on the same rank or file, and I have a rook somewhere around. I've seen it before many times where I can pin it and I win the queen. So that's what I'm looking for here. And I think queen to b8 check. Let's say the queen blocks. Boom. There's the pin that I'm talking about. I think that's the solution. Now, the only concern is what's happening with these rooks. Am I going to get like perpetual checked? But maybe I could just run away and I would be okay. So yeah, I think that's going to be the solution. Queen to b8 was not the solution. Wow. Okay, that's actually um very surprising. Let's see. Was it queen to c8, but why? Or did I miss something more obvious? Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't actually know that one off the top of my head. I don't actually know. Very surprising that I missed that one though. But anyway, it happens. Let's keep going. So, black to move. Okay, so let's start with the checks here. Obviously, don't want to just sacrifice the queen. Let's see, we are pinned here, so we can't use the rook. Okay, what about capturing pieces? Don't really want to take that. All right, we do have this knight, which looks like it could jump in here, which would be great. The pawn is a problem. So how do we pair all of these things together to find the solution? Well, I don't actually know. The pin is very annoying because I would like to play a move like this, maybe. Definitely want to go check. Aha, there we go. So if we just follow that train of thought a little bit more, by sacrificing the knight, we actually can get a pawn there. And I'm wondering if white has no way to stop that. Let's see. They could play the rook up here. That actually would stop it. Interesting position. So I'm wondering if there's something here that I'm missing because it's not jumping straight out at me, honestly, guys. So we're going to start basically stepping back, taking another pass. Maybe there's something else going on in the position that I'm just totally missing. Really seeing it. I really feel like this is the best move that gives me the best chance. But after takes, do I have to take it back right away? Is there anything else? I would. Threatening this. Rook to e2 is a really big problem. Queen could come over here and try to come down. And oh, actually, now I see. I don't know how white's going to get away from that. Okay, see, that seems pretty difficult to me for an 1800. I don't know. Seems pretty difficult, but I think that's going to be the solution. Yeah, we take here. He's using the queen. Okay, but I think the same idea is going to apply. We come in from the side. And if the king has to come out this way, that's going to probably give me other opportunities to checkmate it. So let's go ahead and go over here. Okay. Do we have any checks? This one? This one? Ooh, wow. This one is actually checkmate. That is nice. Yeah, see, so there's a little bit of imbalance issues here. This is much easier than the last one, and yet it's the same kind of rating level. So I don't know, but it's still good practice for us. So regardless of how difficult or easy, as long as you're getting practice recognizing the patterns, that's kind of the whole point. Okay. Obviously, the rook is pinned, so we can't use that immediately. We do have the queen, so there's a couple of checks that jump out right away. Pieces that we can capture, not really. It definitely seems like these should be my two candidate moves here. So let's start with this one. Check. King has to move here or here. So you want to take it one at a time. If they move here, what can we do? I believe that could be an idea. Check or check and take the bishop. Now that I'm getting checkmated, so I'm not going to do that, but I could still go for a checkmate. Let's say the king goes back here. Bishop check. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, and if the king moves to here, does that change anything? Probably not. I'm still going to go check. They go back. It's the same position. But they do have one extra option, king to h6. Okay, we do need to think through that. Probably grab this with check. Let's say the king goes here. All right, so I don't see an immediate checkmate. Yeah, okay. I can't even go here because of the queen, of course. All right, so this has to be the first move. This has to be the second move, and then we will think through this just to make sure I'm not missing it. I think we take here, and then I don't immediately actually see the follow-up. So initially I was thinking we take the bishop. No, we can't do that because we could checkmate it. Of course, we can't move the rook because it's pinned. So we kind of have to go with a check, I believe. Maybe you could consider a move like this. No, I think it's got to be a check. So I'm going to go ahead and say that was okay. I wanted to see the rest of the puzzle. By process of elimination, sometimes you can say, okay, well, if there's no other moves that make any sense, I must play this and then figure it out as you go along. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the rest of it there. Okay, endgame puzzle. Very interesting here. Queen and knight. Obviously, black has so many pawns. I apologize. Well, going with the checks, I want to take this, of course, and then if the king tries to go back, looks like we might have a checkmate with the queen, so it's probably going to come here. Where exactly do we go? Check. Defends the knight. King might move here. There's quite a few options that the king could do. We could go check again. I mean, the other way to think about it is what if we trade queens and try to grab all the pawns, but I don't think, yeah, those pawns look too dangerous. Don't think that's the solution. So I think it's got to be here. There is, nope, we can't go check here because the queen takes us. So yeah, again, by process of elimination, I'm going to go ahead and, as soon as I say that, I see another option. Knight takes, that's no good. Yeah, we got to take this for sure. Okay. So probably queen f8. And basically, I'm just thinking, how do I keep checking the king, but at the same time, don't like lose all my pieces, right? So any other checks, I'm going to be just losing my knight. So that seems to be the only option, unless a knight check makes more sense. Aha, and there you go. Okay, so I almost missed that, but I'm glad that I stopped to look at that. That's a better option because the king can't escape here, can't escape here. You would have to go here, and then you guys can probably see the follow-up. There's the fork. So, okay, nice little puzzle there. Didn't see that right away, but there we go. And once we get the queen, of course, we can stop the pawns relatively easily at that point. Okay, I'm looking for checks. I don't see a single check. Oh, there's a check there, but that doesn't really make sense. I do see this. Okay. The bishop's undefended, so I'm going to keep an eye on that, but don't really see a way to take advantage of that immediately. Yeah, the king and the queen being lined up looks like the biggest problem for black. Actually, don't I just win the queen if I just go there? Let me see. What am I missing? Is it really that easy? I guess it is. Let's go ahead. I don't see how black stops that. Yeah. If they do this, I have to be careful not to take it, but very simple thing to do is throw this in with a check, and now we take it, and everything is great. Okay. All right. Here's a check. Here's a check. Seems like it's got to be one of those. Probably, usually if you can get the queen close, that's what you want to start with, at least checking it out and see. So let's see. Queen comes in. The king goes back. That would be checkmate. Okay, so the king would have to go to g7. Check. King would have to go back and checkmate. So that's going to do it. And that was relatively straightforward. Okay, I missed that move. I did miss that move, but now that I'm here, I see the follow-up. But yes, I should have paid more attention to that, honestly. Okay, nice little tactic here, guys. Whenever you have a bishop that's pinned like this, you can always remember make use of the fact that it can't move off of this diagonal, which means it's not actually controlling this square, even though it looks like it is because it's a bishop. It's not. So I can go there with my queen and then checkmate. Okay, that's a good one to remember. Wow. Wow. Okay. I wish I was playing this in a real game. King is on f5. How do we checkmate it? Obviously, that's got to be the solution, right? I mean, I can't take any of these pieces, and the king is just sitting here. So usually when you're attacking the king like this, what I like to do is think about how do I stop it from retreating? Because if the king can retreat and go back, you're going to have a hard time checkmating it. So right now, it can't go there, but it's got two other options, right, here and here, that it could run to. So do I have a move that stops both of those? And actually, I see one, d5. And without even calculating the rest of the puzzle, I can probably tell you that's the solution. d5. Oh, I didn't even have to calculate. And then we were probably going to be able to checkmate with the pawn or something cool. But the idea was don't let the king run away, okay? All right, let's see. What's happening? I don't see any checks. Okay, pieces that I could potentially capture. I'm noticing that these guys are on the same diagonal. So bishop g6 immediately looks like a super easy and obvious move. So, okay, he's trying to... Interesting. So if I take a queen, I lose a queen, but then I take a rook. And I'm pretty happy. One option. Other option is I move my queen somewhere, but it doesn't look as good. And so I think we just take... Let me just verify, make sure there's no crazy tricks. Yeah, I'm going to just go ahead. Queen, take the rook. We just take this. Great. Oops, sorry. All right. Checks. No, don't want to go there. Okay, that looks like a free piece to me. All right, that looks like a bunch of free pieces. But wait, and this is a good example of sometimes you do want to just scan in these puzzles to make sure you're not going to get checkmated. And that's what I'm seeing here. If I follow this train of thought, takes, check, take the rook, guess what? I'm going to lose the game because the queen's going to come down here. I have to block. Queen's going to take it, and that's checkmate. So I can't do that. Now, what I could do is take the knight, and after the king moves, do something else. Maybe just run back here. That actually seems to make a lot of sense, right? So I think that's probably the move. King might actually go there. Yeah. Even there's also, if the king moves here, there's this idea of the bishop coming in between, right? So not lots of nice follow-ups, but this definitely looks like the first move here, followed by the check. Yeah. Okay, so he does sidestep that. Okay, I was going to go bishop to b5 and fork those guys. Remember, we can't fall for this trap and get checkmated, right? So I think what I'm going to do is just go check here, and the idea is to force the king into that, or to force it backwards, where the rook's not going to be able to come into the game. The other thing I could do is just simply come all the way back to defend against the checkmate. But I would rather go with a more aggressive move like queen b2 here, so let's do that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so checks, I mean, I don't see a single check, so I can move on from that. I see some pieces. This is undefended, but I don't really see a way to take advantage of that. Maybe something with knight to f4, something to keep an eye on. I see, okay, if I trade this, it would put white into a pin, which is pretty nice, actually. I could go then here. All right, so I'm starting to see the makings of something. But there's also the question of, so this is important. What order should you do something in? So for example, I could trade and then go here. I could also, maybe in some cases, go here first, because if the knight takes, then I come down with my rook. Problem with going here first seems to be that white would just take my rook. And yes, I could get a bishop, but I already lost a rook, so that's probably not good enough. So I think I do want to take, followed by this. Of course, you can grab a couple of pawns, but I don't know. This just seems like it's probably more powerful, taking this and getting this knight out of the way. Because I'm going to get this pawn and trade this off, go into an endgame that's more easy. But that being said, I don't know if that's good enough. Takes. Here, let's just say the bishop moves. I could play h5. Not really sure why. Takes, check. We would have a rook and 4 pawns against a bishop and what, 3, 6 pawns? Is that really the solution? The reason I'm hesitating is because that doesn't seem good enough. I mean, yes, it seems okay, but it's a puzzle. I know it's a puzzle, so I'm going to use that to my advantage of like, hold on a second, there might be something better. There just might be something better, but I'm not really seeing it, so I might have to go with that option. Yeah, I mean, okay. I think I see it now. So I am going to take, and then I'll explain what I think I see. So it's the same idea of I'm going to go here, and I'm going to attack the bishop. But rather than, after the bishop moves, just trading, I'm going to try to get very greedy here and capture this pawn while I have the knight pinned to the king. Because if I can accomplish that, then I'm going to have a rook and a knight against the bishop, which is an easy win. Okay? So the way that I think we do that is by moving the bishop away from defending the pawn, because then I can just take it and bam, the knight is pinned and I'm going to take that next. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, bishop has to get forced off of this diagonal. So we start by going here, and now we play h5. Great. And he decides to just sacrifice there. Even if he didn't, it would have went back somewhere. Then I was going to just take this. And now I can't take that because my rook is back. But what I can do is take the bishop. And again, I still won a piece for free. Okay, very nice. So again, checks. I don't see any checks or checkmates. What pieces are loose or hanging or undefended that I'm going to keep an eye on? This guy's undefended. This guy is currently defended, but there's some tension. This guy's currently defended, but there's also some tension. I'm also, whenever you see like pieces that are sitting on the same kind of like squares as like a fork, you just want to ask yourself like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? This looks like a fork. So how do we take advantage of that? So like maybe we just trade everything. We trade a pair of bishops. Maybe we sacrifice a rook, and then we jump in with a fork. I mean, the reason why I think that's going to be the solution is because once we jump in with that fork, it's a very interesting fork in that black actually has no way to protect either of the rooks totally. So like normally you could maybe move a rook like this to defend each other. In this case, they're just both stuck and stranded. So I think that's the correct move. Now the question becomes, does the order matter? Do I take here first or do I take here first? And I believe I take this way first. And the reason is if I take the knight, then black just simply takes the bishop and it's just a trade. I don't want to let him trade, so I'm going to go this way first. Then I'm going to sacrifice. And then I'm going to go for the fork. Yep. And there you go. See, he saved one, but we get the other rook totally free, not even having to lose our knight, which is why we come out up a piece. Okay. Let's see here. Any checks? Checkmates? Nope. Any pieces that are loose? This guy? Okay. So I could even just take that right away. The bishop wouldn't be able to take me because of the queen, but then I lose my bishop. There's also, again, whenever you see these configurations where there's potential forks, that might be a sign there's a tactic here. Now, in this case, I'm having a hard time seeing it. Oh, there's also potentially a pin. Wow. So there's a lot happening here. Even a sacrifice here is another idea. There's so many ideas. We've got this one. 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 Okay. Just looking at like the captures, basically. So this is a very forcing one because it hits the queen. Black would kind of have to respond. Okay. And if they take me, I come in with a check. And my idea is that if the king moves, I'm going to get my piece back and get a fork, and I got some pawns. Super great. So the problem becomes rook f7, right? What do we do against rook f7? Well, we still take it because we have a battery. So that seems to be the idea. Now, this one was tricky because there were so many potential moves and ideas, and it's important to note here when you get to these more advanced ones, make sure you consider all of your options, right? If you don't see it with your first couple of ideas, check some other things. That's what I did come up with this, and that looks to be the correct solution. So let's go ahead. Yeah, there we go. Coming with the check, and like I mentioned, we've got 3 pieces here. We can just actually just take that. So I'm going to take with the bishop, take with the queen. I'm going to take with the rook. There we go. Cool. All right, so checks and checkmates. Nope. There is this one. We want to sacrifice our rook. I don't believe so. Do we want to sacrifice our queen? Nope, don't believe. Okay, everything's defended. Wow, interesting. All right, so here we have to really think outside of the box. Oh, aha. So I looked at sacrificing on the G pawn, but now I'm looking at sacrificing on the H pawn, and all of a sudden, that looks to be so much better. Check. King goes back. We slide the rook over, check. This guy blocks. Well, wait a second. Aha, aha. Okay, here we go. So we take here. We come in with a check. The king goes back. Initially, I was thinking the rook comes over, but instead, do the queen over. And the reason is because when the rook blocks, we have the follow-up there. Very nice. Very nice position. That was a fun one. I like that one. All right, so I'm looking at the checks and checkmates here. We see a check. The only check I see really kind of looks a little bit appealing. Got the bishop. We could bring the rook over. Okay. What else? Any loose pieces that we maybe could take advantage of? Not really. This guy, I don't think that's going to be the solution. Oh, there's a fork just sitting there for me. Okay. Just noticed that. I mean, what's the material count? Queen, queen, rook, rook. We're down a piece. So if we won the exchange, we'd have a rook for 2 pieces. Still not really good enough. But is it the best that we have? I mean, when I say it's not good enough, it's not like it's going to lead to a totally winning position. It's just going to lead to like a even okay position. So I don't want to get hung up on this move if that's not the correct plan of action. Yeah, so, okay, here we go. The pin, the bishop can come in. That looks very, very good because if the king has to be forced out, there's no way that that could be good for white. Now, the other option is I go for the fork. Queen moves, I take, and then I go there. And I get that guy next. And that would lead to a winning endgame. So now it's a big question of what do I do first? Aha, and then my knight is actually being attacked. So maybe it is just a combination of you get the fork, you do that, and then you come in here for this guy. And that looks like a very nice idea. So I could be wrong here. There could be something that I'm missing where this is better, but I don't think so. I think we start with the fork, and then we grab that. Although I'm wondering what happens on this move. Because it does threaten checkmate. Very interesting. And then I wouldn't be able to use my bishop to come down here. So, do I have to go there now? Giving up this check. Da 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 da. Yeah, it could be, but I don't quite see the follow-up after king goes here. It looks like we just have to trade. Yeah, I'm not quite seeing it. So I'm going to take here. Okay, it is the right move. And I do have to come up with a solution here, though. Interesting. Oh, you know what it is? You know what it is? We replace the bishop with the queen, and then we come down here with the queen. That's what it is. Yeah, I didn't see that. I don't know why I was thinking I had to take with the pawn. Yeah, okay. And now he can do this. Very interesting. Very interesting puzzle. Okay, so checks and checkmates. Let's see what we have here. Wow, definitely looks like there should be a checkmate. Looks like there has to be a checkmate because we're about to get checkmated if not. Okay, so this actually is probably going to be on the easier side because we know exactly what we have to do. And again, what do I want to pay attention to? If I play a move like h6, I don't want to let the king run away and escape. So immediately I'm thinking of going here. And the reason is because it stops the king from escaping backwards. They'd have to probably play f4. And then it's just a matter of... Yeah, I think I actually see the checkmate. Yep. So here we go. Check. Plays f4. And now that we've accomplished step number 1 of not preventing the king from going backwards, now we have to just look for the checkmate. Again, I could mess this up if I play a move like queen here, because what am I doing? I'm allowing the king to go backwards. So don't do that. Leave the queen there and use something else. We got 2 pawns. This one, the king moves. Okay, what's my follow-up? g6. Okay, the king moves. And I think the king is maybe escaping, but if I go this way, check, check, and then the king's not escaping because of the queen there. Yep, so we got to do it the correct way. So f6, g6, and now the bishop comes in. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So let's look at the checks. I mean, we've got a check here. Probably don't want to be sacrificing my queen when I don't have a good follow-up, so we can forget about that. We have a check here, but why? He just gives up a piece for no reason. We have 2 checks here. Okay, that maybe there's some idea of opening up something, although both of these squares are kind of covered. Although if I blocked off the queen, maybe we could go there. Okay, so this seems like a potential idea. The other idea is, what if we just take? No, where everything's getting traded. That can't be good. So it definitely seems like this might be the move. There's also bishop takes h6, but then I'm losing my... Okay, so yeah, definitely feel like maybe a knight jumping in could be a really good plan. Although takes, Maybe just king g7. Do I really have a good follow-up? I don't believe so. No, I don't believe so. Okay, so very interesting. Yeah, this one, honestly, guys, is not jumping out at me. And we are to that level 48. This is usually where I start to get some wrong, so I'm not surprised by that. I'm gonna just keep thinking through ideas, try to come up with new ideas that maybe I didn't think about. So, what's an idea that I haven't thought about? I don't even know. I mean, bishop takes h6. Why? Why would I want to do that? Lose my queen because my knight can jump in. Takes me. I don't have anything. No. We can't give up the queen like that. Let's see. Knight f6. Why would I want to go there? No, we already talked about that. Okay. We're down material, so I don't think just a simple trading off is going to cut it. Black's going to take. We're going to take. I take. I mean, actually, that's not a bad position for us when I really look at it. Because then we do have knight f6 ideas. Could that possibly be the solution? Check. We just run away. Maybe queen g7. We just jump in with a check. The king goes back here. Bishop h6. You know what? Normally it's you don't want to just allow the trading, but in this particular case, we're not down that much material. It's the only thing that I see that actually looks like a decent option. So I think I'm going to go with it. Is it the solution? I could be wrong. I don't know. But okay. Okay. And I think we just take that. And like I said, what I noticed, guys, was that this f6 square was now weak. By trading off the bishop and the rook, or my knight and rook, now I can jump in here. Yeah, okay, okay. So a little bit surprised that I actually got that one correct there. But I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay. All right, you can't see this. Let me just adjust the this for a moment here so you can see the bottom row of the puzzles. Okay, a little bit more. Go. All right. So, black checks. Wow, in very interesting position. These ones are usually pretty challenging because there's only a couple of pieces and there's like a lot of moves that you have to consider. So, I mean, let's start with the obvious. There's a check. Okay. White has the discovered check that they can use to defend. We have to keep that in mind. All right. Can't block because we have it covered. They have to move the king somewhere. Lots of options. Let's just start one at a time, I guess, if they go here. And then we can start grabbing pawns with check, which seems pretty good. The king could escape here. And then what do we have to do? Then we would have knight to d4, which is a very powerful move. I mean, knight to d4 even right away is also powerful. Let me just keep going with my thought process. So check, check. King goes there, I'd be pretty happy with knight to d4. If the king moves somewhere else, I'm still pretty happy with knight to d4. So I'm pretty happy with that, regardless. If the king goes to b3, back over here, then we get in big trouble, so we can't do that. Okay, so check. King b3 seems to be a problem. We have knight. Knight to c1 check. King has to move, I don't know where. Yeah, we have some nice checkmates there. So this one looks really good. Let me just check this. What is white going to do if I go here? He's got to move the queen. Has to. You also have to defend the bishop. So you have to move probably to d3 or to f1. I have a check. Okay, great. But then you could block. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. Okay, so that's... So I think I'm going to have to analyze a little bit deeper than I really wanted to. I'm kind of tired and I want to go eat breakfast, but I'm going to have to just... Yeah, I don't see the follow-up with that as well. So I think it's this one. I could be wrong. I'm getting a little bit lazy here only because, like I said, I do want to go eat my breakfast. So I'm gonna go with this move. Yeah. Probably was like knight to d4 or something. I don't know. Um, but some of these you can't just analyze like two moves and expect to solve it. You kind of have to go further, and I'm just being a little lazy right now. So let me just see quickly if anything jumps out. We're down a rook. Probably have to find a checkmate or some very, very powerful tactic. I see a pawn check. I see the queen can come over here. That looks like it's going to give white options to defend. So probably this is the move. No, it's not. Okay. Well, I don't feel bad. I think 50 is my record anyway. So that's about where I knew I was going to get stuck. And like I said, I don't want to sit here and spend like 30 minutes analyzing, one position. Hopefully the overall process was helpful to you guys. And let me know what your record is. How many can you get to after watching this video? Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. Stay sharp. Play smart. Take care.